Jeddah in Arabic means grandmother. It is believed by some Muslims that the mother of all human beings, Eve or Bibi Hawa, was buried in Jeddah. We just landed in Jeddah and wanted to arrive Mecca as soon as possible to perform Umrah. For the little time we had, this place was our first stop. The door to the cemetery that's open is already a fortune because the guard prohibits anyone who wants to enter with no reasonable purpose. I was lucky that the guards not only let me in but also let me roam around freely. Maybe it was Saudi Arabian dress that I was wearing and they thought of me as a Saudi man. However, they kept a vigil eye on me that I do not take any photos or videos, but I managed to take some. Graves in here do not have any headstone, thus no one can tell where exactly Bibi Hawa was buried. Her gravesite used to have a structure until 1928 when Prince Faisal, Viceroy of Hijaz, had it leveled off. By 1975, even the ground of Eve's legendary burial site was sealed in concrete to prevent pilgrims from paying homage or praying there. Due to the rows of unmarked tombs, there is nothing to indicate if Eve's tomb has been there. While there is no absolute archaeological evidence to authenticate the story of Eve's burial here, the legend persists. Having said that, Saudi visitors to this site keeping the legend alive even in the absence of scientific proof. Famous Arab travelers like Ibn Battuta and historians that have passed through here hundreds of years ago, and even some of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's companions have made reference to Eve's tomb in this area. The Red Sea port of Jeddah, located midway along the western coast of the Saudi Kingdom, is a bustling, thriving city and seaport. Its location on the ancient trade route and its status as the seaport and airport for Hajis visiting the holy city of Mecca have ensured that Jeddah is the most cosmopolitan of all Saudi Arabian cities. I was amazed to see so many beautiful buildings in this city anywhere I went to. Jeddah was founded as a fishing hamlet in 522 BC by the Yemenis. From the 7th century AD, it was established as a major port for Indian Ocean trade route, channeling goods to Mecca. It was also the gateway for Muslim pilgrims to Mecca who arrived by sea. These twin roles saw the city develop into a thriving multicultural center characterized by a distinctive architectural tradition. Historic Jeddah reflects the final flourishing of the Indian Ocean sea trade after the opening of the Suez Canal in 1869 and the introduction of steamboats that linked Europe with India and Asia. This brought enormous wealth to many merchants. In addition, the increase in sea-going vessels allowed many more pilgrims to make the pilgrimage to Mecca, resulting in an expansion in the provision of accommodation for these visitors. By the end of the 1970s, the population of Jeddah was estimated to be close to 1 million. By 1993, the population had passed the 2 million mark. With a population currently at 3.4 million people, Jeddah is the second largest city in Saudi Arabia. Economically, Jeddah is focusing on further developing capital investment in scientific and engineering leadership within Saudi Arabia and the Middle East. Jeddah was independently ranked 4th in the Africa. The extraordinary growth of Jeddah demanded by the kingdom's development programs have been achieved in a remarkably short period. At the same time, aesthetic considerations have not been ignored. Jeddah now boasts some of the most beautiful examples of modern architecture in the world. Tree-lined avenues and the bronze sculptures attest to the success of the city's beautification program. Having said that, so the architecture cannot escape this seemingly contradiction because in this specific contact functional aspect should not be irrespective of spiritual demonstration which the nation relies on, unlike the assumptions of secularized world, and because Islamic principles are supposed to represent a bridge to the standard distinction between religious and civil architecture as well as for a cultural connection to the rest of the Muslim world. From Jeddah, we wanted to leave for Mecca as early as possible in order to perform Umrah, and for that we had to first arrive at one of the 6 miqats or starting point to put ihram. Instead of going to the closest place, we decided to go to Rabi'. We took Highway 5 and after traveling 125 miles took an exit for Rabi'. Rabi' is also one of the miqats and is located along the Red Sea. Here first we went in search of Ghadir, which is nearby. This place is hard to find, but if you want to visit, instead of taking left towards on the other side of the highway to Rabi' city, take a right turn. A few yards ahead, turn left. Unfortunately, all signs to a very significant historical place of the waterhole of Ghadir have been eliminated by burning down the date palm tree and demolishing the small building that once existed here. Even the well has been demolished, but you can find this place with the help of GPS and Google Maps. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after completing his pilgrimage, which is also known as Hajjatul Wada, left Mecca towards Medina. It was Sunday 18th of Zulhijjah or the 15th of March 632 when the Prophet arrived at this place and the following verse of Quran was revealed. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. O Messenger, convey all that has been sent down to you from your Lord. If you do not, then you shall not have conveyed his message at all. Allah shall protect you from the people. Surely Allah does not lead the disbelieving people to the right path. Surah Al-Ma'idah verse 67. Upon receiving the verse, the Prophet sent for all people who have been ahead to come back, waited until all pilgrims who left behind arrived and gathered. He ordered Hazrat Salman Farsi to use rocks and cable toolings to make a pulpit so he could make his announcement. Then the Messenger of Allah delivered his declared, O people, Allah the Most Kind, the Omniscient, has told me that no apostle lives to more than half the age of him who had preceded him. It seems the time has approached when I shall be caught away by Allah, and I shall answer that call. Do you not bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is his servant and apostle, and that his heaven is true, his hell is true, death is true, the resurrection after death is true, that there is no doubt that the day of judgment will come and that Allah will resurrect the dead from their graves. They said, Yes, we bear witness. Then he said, I am leaving for you 2 precious things, and if you adhere to them both, you will never go astray after me. They are the book of Allah and my progeny, that is my Ahlul Bayt. The 2 shall never separate from each other until they come to me by the pool of paradise. Then the Messenger of Allah continued, Do I not have more right over the believers than what they have over themselves? People cried and answered, Yes, O Messenger of God. Then the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam held up the hand of Hazrat Ali ibn Abi Talib and said, Man kuntu mawlahu wa hadha aliyun mawla. For whoever I am his mawla, Ali is his mawla. After the speech, the Prophet's companions congratulated Hazrat Ali alayhi salam for this honor. The purpose of this speech is considered differently among Shia and Sunni scholars. However, on this date, Shia Muslims celebrate Eid al-Ghadir all over the world. After visiting Ghadir in Rabi' at Masjid Miqat al-Juffa, we took a bath, made the intention of Umrah, and changed our clothing to 2 pieces of large white cotton towels. Then we were on our way towards the holy city of Mecca. As we were racing towards Mecca, we chanted, In response to your call, O Allah, I performed Umrah. Here I am, O Allah, in response to your call. You have no partner. In response to your call, all praise and blessing and the ownership of all that you created is yours alone. You have no partner. In Arabic, the word Umrah means a visit. However, Umrah in Islamic terminology means paying a visit to Kaaba, performing tawaf around it, and walking between Safa and Marwa 7 times. Ihram is pilgrim's garment that consists of 2 white, unhemmed sheets. This is intended to make everyone appear the same. Ihram also contributes to a feeling of unity that pilgrims have when they are in the city of Mecca. They are all brothers and sisters joined to worship God. Muslims, if they can afford, once in their lifetime must go to Mecca to perform Hajj. Hajj falls on 10th of the Muslims' calendar's last month. The rest of the year one can perform Umrah, and that's the reason we were there for. The Umrah is not compulsory but highly recommended. In this state, certain things that are allowed in normal life were no more allowed, some of which are hunting, sexual union, wearing perfume, wearing sewn clothes by men, looking into the mirror, wearing shoes, slippers or socks, killing insects, beautifying oneself, covering the head for males, covering of the face even by females, sheltering in shaded area for males, bleeding one's body, cutting nails, carrying arms, etc. It is strictly forbidden for non-Muslims to enter the city, and this is highly enforced. Road signs to guide non-Muslims are provided. As we arrived in Mecca, after laying our luggage in hotel, we rushed towards Masjid al-Haram, our holy Kaaba. The second pillar of Umrah is Tawaf, which requires us to go around the Kaaba 7 times. Tawaf is started and ended in front of Hajar-e-Aswad while facing this sacred stone. As required, we walked counterclockwise, keeping the Kaaba on our left. Each time when we reached parallel to the Hajar-e-Aswad or the black stone, we would raise our hands pointing towards it and would say, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. In the name of Allah, Allah is the greatest. The Kaaba was the first house built to worship Almighty God by Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam with the help of his son Ismail alayhi salam. The covering of Kaaba was first placed by the Prophet Ismail alayhi salam. The construction made contained no roof. It was the Quraysh who raised the walls of Kaaba and added a roof. The Kaaba is a bricked cuboid structure which is made of granite. It is about 36 feet by 42 feet. The floor of the interior stands about 7 feet above the ground area. The Kaaba functions as the Qibla, the direction to which Muslims pray 5 times a day, no matter where they are in the world. It is important to mention that Muslims do not pray to the Kaaba. It functions merely as a unifying directional point. Hajar-e-Aswad is set in the eastern corner of the Kaaba. It was brought from paradise and presented to Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam to be placed on the corner of the Kaaba. The area between the Hajar Aswad and the door of Kaaba is called the Multazam. It is approximately 7 feet wide and is a place where du'as are accepted. The entrance of the Kaaba is on its eastern side. Originally it was at ground level but was raised when the Quraysh built the Kaaba. The Mizab is the golden spout from where rainwater on the roof of Kaaba falls. The Hatim is crescent-shaped area immediately adjacent to the Kaaba. Part of it is also known as the Hijra Ismail, as this was the place where Prophet Ibrahim salam constructed a shelter for Prophet Ismail salam and his mother Lady Hijra salawatullahi alaiha. Tawaf must be performed outside the completed area of the Hatim. The Maqam Ibrahim refers to the stone on which Prophet Ibrahim salam stood on while he was building the Kaaba. God caused the trace of his footprints to remain on the stone as a reminder to the believers among his descendants. The corner of the Kaaba is called the Rukn-e-Yamani because it is situated on the side of the Kaaba which faces Yemen. The Kaaba, also known as Baitullah, the house of God. A question comes here. This is Allah's house. He never lived here, does not live here, and has no future plans to live here. He is Lamakan, which means he does not have a house. Then why having a house that is not used? Allah cannot create anything without a reason, let alone such important house. Later, a world-renowned scholar told me, all of us have two designated places, one where we work and use it for official reasons. The other is home. Allah has designated Arsh as his official place, Kaaba as its home. He has never lived nor walked from either places. However, he has designated these two places and have been used once for very important reasons. Arsh was used when he invited Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam at the time of Miraj to show his creation. Kaaba was once used when Hazrat Ali salam was born inside this house of Allah that we perform the ritual of tawaf around. Anyway, after the seventh circle completed, we approached Maqam Ibrahim and prayed two short rakats prayers. Then we returned to the black stone and touched it. Then we drank water from the sacred well of Zamzam before proceeding to the next ritual of the Umrah, the Sa'i, which is the third requirement of Umrah. We walked towards Safa, which is very close to the holy Kaaba. Here we had to walk between Safa and Marwa, which consists of 7 circuits while we chanted, Allah is the greatest, Allah is the greatest, Allah is the greatest. None has the right to be worshipped except Allah alone, who has no partner. To him belongs the dominion. To him belongs all praise. And he has power over everything. He fulfilled his promise, gave victory to his servant, and defeated the Confederates alone. We had to run between the fluorescent green lights. This act is a reenactment of Bibi Hajra salawatullah alaiha's frantic search for water. The story of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and his family is central to the Hajj. In Islamic tradition, God orders Ibrahim to leave his wife Hajra salawatullah alaiha and their infant son Prophet Ismail alayhi salam in the desert near the Kaaba to test their faith. The mother and the child walked between the hills at Safa and Marwa. Ismail was thirsty and Hajra began searching for water. She ran south towards Safa, climbed the hill and looked for an oasis. She rushed back to check on Ismail and darted north towards Marwa, a quarter of a mile away. There was no water. For part of the valley, her son was hidden from view and she ran this length. It is an emulation of this action that pilgrims are required to rush through the same section of the Masa. The area where she ran today clearly demarcated by green lighting. She ran between the two hills 7 times. This action is copied by all pilgrims performing Hajj or Umrah and is known as Sa'i. As she returns from her last run to Marwa, she found water gushing from beneath Ismail's feet, where he had been kicking the sand. Bibi Hajra shouted, "Zom Zom, stop flowing, stop flowing." The water slowed down and the spring was given the name Zam Zam. The Zamzam well has provided some 4,000 years of almost continuous water supply, a living miracle. The Zamzam well is approximately 100 feet deep. Up until 1953, water was drawn by bucket. Electric pumps now pump the water into tanks and it serves 1.3 million gallons per day. After I completed the 7th round, I had to cut a little hair. By the way, only men have to do it. The rites of Umrah were now completed. Things became lawful what were previously prohibited during Ihram. Nowadays, Kaaba is very crowded all the time, especially before and after each prayer. One has to visit in a holding area and then is given permission to proceed to outer ring. We performed several umrahs and found 3 o'clock in the morning the best time to be there. While in Mecca, if you want to perform another umrah, you must go outside the city to Masjid Aisha to perform intention. For this purpose, buses outside Bab Abdul Aziz of Masjid Haram take pilgrims to the Masjid Aisha, which is not far away from Mecca. We would take taxis and it would not cost much. This is the once rocky desert of Mudallifa, where Hajj pilgrims camp during the night and sleep in open on 9th Zulhijjah, the second day of Hajj. It is 4 kilometers long and covers an area of 12.25 square kilometers. This is Mina. Here, pilgrims sleep overnight on 8th, 11th, and 12th of the month of Zulhijjah. They used to use traditional cotton tents until 1997 when the tent city burned down and many pilgrims lost their lives. Since then, they use fire-resistant material in the tents. Here is also the place of three satins, where pilgrims perform the ritual of stoning the devil. As per Islamic story, Prophet Ibrahim salam walked to Mecca in order to sacrifice Ismail, as God has commanded. 3 pillars mark the places where the devil tried to interrupt the sacrifice. The pilgrims commemorate Abraham's faith by stoning the pillars, which represent the devil. Sacrifice of an animal can be done from the morning of the 10th to the sunset of the 12th Zulhijjah is a part of Hajj ritual. This is Masjid al-Khaf. This mosque is located at the foot of a mountain in the south of Mecca, close to the smallest Jamarat. It was at this spot that the Prophet ﷺ and numerous other prophets before him performed prayers. This is Wadi Maharis, placed between Mina and Mudallifa. It was here that Allah destroyed Abraha and his army of elephants. This incident is mentioned in Quran in Surah Fil. It is sunnah for Hajjaj, the pilgrims, to walk briskly past this area as the Prophet did, as it was a place of punishment from Allah. This is Masjid al-Nimra in Wadi Urana, located on the plain of Arafat. When the Prophet was at Arafat on his farewell Hajj, on the 9th day of Zulhijjah, year 10 Hijrah, he camped here. After midday, he delivered his famous sermon in Wadi Urana nearby while seated on his camel, after which he led the prayer. More than 100,000 companions accompanied him on this Hajj. This is Masjid-e-Uqba Ula in Mina near Mecca. It is still the same as it was at the time of Prophet. Masjid-e-Jirana is situated approximately 24 km northeast of Masjid-e-Haram and is one of the places where pilgrims enter in the state of Ihram for the performance of Umrah. In the year 8 Hijrah, the Prophet ﷺ camped here for a few days after the Battle of Hunain and entered in the state of Ihram and then proceeded to Mecca. This is Jabal Rahmah, the Mount of Mercy where Prophet Muhammad ﷺ gave his last sermon. After we reached the base of the Mount of Mercy, on its crest, a rectangular pillar of brick and concrete marked the site of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ's sermon. We climbed the rock, sweating under the sun. I placed my hand against the pillar and closed my eyes. The words of the Prophet Muhammad's last sermon came to me. A white has no superiority over a black, nor does a black have any superiority over a white, except by piety and good action. This is Jabal Asor, which contains a cave where Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his companion Hazrat Abu Bakr hid for 3 days and nights from the Quraysh during the migration to Medina. When the Quraysh came to look for them, Hazrat Abu Bakr worriedly told Prophet Muhammad that they were only 2 people, but the Prophet assured him that God will save them. When the Quraysh reached the cave, they thought that nobody could go to a cave with a spider web spread across the mouth and birds nesting near it. This is Jabal Hira, Hira mountain. Near the top is a small cave where Prophet Muhammad ﷺ received the first revelation of the Holy Quran. It is 2 miles away from the Kaaba. My Saudi-born driver told me that this mountain is too big. Otherwise, Saudi Arabian government will also level it off. Near the top is a small cave, a little less than 4 meters in length and a little more than 1.5 meters in width. It was here that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ received the first revelations of the Holy Quran during the month of Ramadan in the year 610. This mountain is also known as Jabal Nur, the mountain of light. This is the grave site of Bibi Maimuna, the last wife of the Prophet. This structure is located on Hijrah Road, 20 km from Mecca. It is in a locality named Sharif and is the same place where she got married in 7th Hijrah. She was buried exactly at the same place in 51 Hijrah at the age of 81. This was used to be the house of Bibi Halima Sadiya. These ruins are in the Banu Saad region in the desert of Hudaybiyah. Bibi Halima fostered the Prophet here in the early years of his life. This was used to be the house of Bibi Amina, the mother of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. This is Masjid-e-Jinn, also known as Masjid-e-Haras, is built on the place where the Prophet drew a line for Abdullah bin Masud, who had accompanied him after he had been commanded to recite the Quran to jinn. This is Masjid-e-Shajara, Mosque of the Tree. It is located opposite Masjid-e-Jinn. Marks the spot from where the Prophet called a tree and it came to him. Note that this mosque is not to be confused with the mosque in Dhul Hulaifa, which is sometimes referred to by the same name. This is Jannatul Mawla, the principal historical graveyard in Mecca, which is located in a valley east of the Masjid-e-Haram. Several members of Prophet's family and many companions are buried here, including Ummul-Mu'minin Bibi Khadija Salawatullahu Alaiha, the first wife of the Prophet. Hazrat Qasim, the eldest son of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, from his wife Bibi Khadija. He died in infancy. Hazrat Abdullah, the second son of the Prophet, from his wife Bibi Khadija. He was also known as Tahir and Tayyab. Hazrat Abu Talib al-Islam, the uncle of the Prophet. Hazrat Abdul Muttalib, the grandfather of the Prophet. Hazrat Abu Talib, the uncle of the Prophet. This is Masjid-e-Raya, Mosque of the Flag, located on the spot where the Prophet had his flag planted when he conquered Mecca. It is also known as Masjid Jodariya. This is the birthplace of the Prophet in Shobe Bani Hashim in Mecca. He was born on Monday, 12th Rabiul Awwal, April 22nd, year 571. Presently, this is a library by the name of Maktaba Makkah al-Mukarramah. This is Shobi Abi Talib, the valley of Abu Talib, where the members of Banu Hashim and Banu Muttalib were forced to withdraw from Mecca and live here in a painful boycott for 3 years. Here, it used to be the house of Hazrat Abu Talib, father of Imam Ali alayhi salam. This is Hudaybiyah. The mosque here marks the spot when the Treaty of Hudaybiyah took place between the Muslim and the Quraysh in 6th Hijrah. Here used to be Jahiliyyah cemetery. This area in a district southwest of the Masjid-e-Haram is where, prior to the advent of Islam, some of the pagan Arabs used to bury their daughters alive as they believed them to be a sign of disgrace. This place in the northwest of Kaaba shows the approximate place where the Darun Nadwa or the assembly house was located. The house functioned as a house of parliament for the Quraysh, and it was from here that they plotted to kill the Prophet ﷺ. Note that this area is located in the new expansion project of the Holy Kaaba. This area on the side of Babe Abdul Aziz Gate is believed to have been the location of the house of Hani, the cousin of the Prophet and the daughter of Abu Talib. It was from here that the Prophet was summoned by Jibreel and was taken to Baitul Muqaddas in Jerusalem. This incident, known as Al-Isra, the night journey, and occurred around 621. This is the approximate area outside the place of Sa'i where the house of Abbas was located. Abbas was a paternal uncle of the Prophet and protected him while he was in Mecca. This gateway to Kaaba is known as Baitul Fatah, door of victory. It was from here that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ entered during the conquest of Mecca on Friday, January 2nd, 630, on Friday, 20th Ramadan, 8th Hijrah. This is Mount Abu Qubais, adjacent to Mount Safa. It is believed that it was from the top of this mountain that the Prophet pointed to the moon and split it into half. This area at the foot of Mount Safa was the approximate area where Darul Arqam, the house of Arqam, was located. It was here in the initial period of Islam that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ secretly preached Islam. On the top of Safa, the hill's remaining grey rock sit behind glass. In the early 1950s, the house of Prophet Muhammad's wife, Bibi Khadija, was destroyed, and the Saudis used the Prophet's birthplace as a cattle market before it was turned into a library. A complex of hundreds of bathrooms was built over the remains of the house of Bibi Khadija during an expansion of the Grand Mosque. This is the approximate region outside the Marwa exit. It was here that the Prophet lived from the time of his marriage to her until he immigrated to Medina. It was where Bibi Khadija sallallahu alayha died and where Bibi Fatima Zahra alayhi salam was born. It was also the place where the Meccans had planned to kill the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam on the night of Hijrah, and Imam Ali slept in his place. It is a place where Jibreel used to descend with revelations from Allah. The house of Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq, the first caliph, was buried under a Hilton hotel. The Kaaba has undergone dramatic renovations, often erasing earlier layers of history. So these technocratic ambitions exemplify a tendency reflected in the country's strict religious doctrine to erase all vestiges of the past. In 1924, days after the soldiers of Al-Saud conquered Mecca, the destruction of buildings associated with the life of the Prophet and his companions began. They believed that revering structures with ties to the Prophet can lead to idolatrous practices. On the site, the Royal Mecca Clock Tower complex at almost 2,000 feet is 7 times the height of the minarets of the Grand Mosque. It is the largest, second tallest building in the world. When I walked along the western wall of the Kaaba, the clock tower felt like a concrete gem staring down at me, dwarfing the mosque. Shoaib Abi Talib was situated at the bottom of these hills. They not only raised the area but also leveled the hills in the name of expansion. The world's largest hotel, due to open in 2017 just over a mile from the Grand Mosque. The hotel will have 10,000 bedrooms in a dozen towers. That will comfortably outstrip the current record holder, the 7,117-room Venetian in Las Vegas. Everything should be humble in Mecca. Besides, Hajj should reflect hardship in the memory of Prophet Ibrahim salam and Lady Hajra salawatullah alaiha, not the luxury. No wonder people call Mecca as today's Las Vegas for Muslims. All over the world, people try their best to save their history. Anywhere in Saudi Arabia that I went to, they are trying their best to erase history. The way of the life of the Prophet, the landscape where he lived his life, is being demolished. Without it, the life of the Prophet becomes a myth. One of the Prophet's saying is that when destitute camel herders will compete in building tallest structures, it will be the time of the arrival of Judgment Day.